This was our gift from Emerson Colley for Christmas, and I must say this boombox has been high on my wish list. This is a 1982 General Electric Blockbuster, and it lives up to its name. And this is, I just tested it, and it is now my official favorite boombox. And we'll get into everything about it. As is, I mean, it has not been restored. This is as is. So let's turn it on. We'll start. Tape deck, just to get it out of the way, is to be expected. Belts. I can hear the motor running, so we'll address that. Radio operation. Now the other thing is, a common issue is the sticking meter. We'll fix that when we're in there. But it has VU meter and a tuning meter. Stereo accent, loudness control, music search system. Stop that for copyright police. But as you can see, everything as is, no scratchy controls. It just works very well. And this is a very, very iconic boombox. In that, also like we play VR chat, and one of our friends has this as part of their avatar. This very boombox, and they didn't even know it. And yes, this is the definition of a real boombox. Not this remake China Pride heaps you buy today. It's the GE Blockbuster, and yes, it can bust blocks. And the other surprising fact, this was OEM'd by Funai. And here's the Funai with the GE. The only difference is the Funai used LED meters instead of the analog meters. But otherwise it's the same boombox, and it performs just the same way. Yes, Funai made boomboxes back in the day in Japan, and every one at least, there weren't many, but the ones they did make were actually mid to upper level boomboxes. And every review on them says they performed fantastically. The realistic version of this boombox, it's the same boombox, just a little bit different cosmetics. That was actually in Grand Theft Auto. So that's what I mean by this particular boombox is a very iconic boombox as well. It may not be that JVC or that Conion brand one, but this is that right up there with them. So to begin, let's start taking apart. We'll address these minor issues and go from there. Here's the back of the boombox. 49 watts input. And no, it has nothing to do with modern day being energy efficient and all. This is one of those cases in audio. You need power to make the sound. You're not going to get any more efficient. And yes, it performs the part. Before that, my realistic OEM Funai boombox was my favorite in the collection. But this right here tops them all. AC cord storage. Unfortunately, it did not come with the original power cord. I'm gonna have to scrape this off, it's just flaking. And DC 12 volt input. And here is with the front panel off, here are the speakers. Properly rated, mind you. In the GE, the literature for this was 5 watts. Really? The literature for this was 5 watts per channel, RMS, properly rated. So, guarantee this will outperform a modern crap that claims 100 watts per channel boombox, my ass. And even has a proper crossover network down there. 2 capacitors built onto a little board. Here's the inside of the unit. Yeah, this is the same tape deck used in my Realistic Modular 1000. I mean, I could tell this was meant to be serviced. I mean, look how neat they wrap the wires. Everything plugs in. There's your power transformer. And then up above is where all the tuning and amplification happens. Ooh, there's a heat sink right there. That's probably where the amps are on the other side. Look how big a heat sink is. That's how you know this thing's a beast. Let's see, microphone. Okay, that's a push button for that. So, yeah, now we're gonna get this, start getting this thing apart so we can service the tape deck. All right, we're already at the cassette deck. I left it plugged in. Let's just see what we got when I hit fast forward. If I can get it. All right, what's going on here? The motor. Oh, I see. It's interesting. The well, here's the unit. Got the whole top end out of it now. Oh yeah, it's a Hitachi HA1392 chip. So yeah, the good news about me pulling everything out of this, because I also clean all the potentiometers and switches while I'm in here. So it's all that's left in here is just the power supply. But yeah, you could definitely see this was meant to be serviced back then. Don't get that stuff now. Everything today's throwaway garbage. All right, just on the front of the tape deck, I just loosen these 2 screws right here. That should be enough to loosen this part here. It's just a decorative cover. Gain access in here. You can at least clean the idler tire for the playback clutch assembly. Tape counter belt you don't want to have tight, so that's probably working just fine. Yeah, see, that's working just fine. We'll just wipe it with some alcohol. Yeah, this is roughly the same tape deck that's in the Realistic Modular 1000. This one adds a solenoid to it for the music search operation. Nice big flywheel. No tension found. And to my knowledge, this is Funai's own tape deck design right here. All right, took the back flywheel plate off. Let's see, 1 screw hole, 2 screw hole, 3 screw holes. And there was the one on top and the one over there for a total of 5 screws to get that plate off. Okay, got both drive belts off. Like this, the flywheel you don't have to take all the way off. Just lift it up enough to where you could slip off the belt. That's all I did. I'm gonna put a drop of oil on the capstan bearing, as well as any other bearings in here. Or here, put a drop there. Nothing much. This I'm gonna put fresh grease on. Wipe it clean, put fresh grease. Then put a drop of oil on that solenoid. Out with the old, in with the new. So now it's nice and tight. All right, now to put some fresh grease on this. Should I do it? Now when installing that back plate there, there's a spring that's supposed to go here. That's just for adjustment of, of this plate. You want it to be completely flush, level with the flywheel when it goes on there. All right, and figure while I was in here, I changed the tape counter belt. So all belts on this have been changed. On the main circuit board here, I cleaned all the controls. And while inspecting things, I noticed from the front my LED was out of place, like backing off to the side. Turns out it wasn't being held in place. Tried clamping it in, it wouldn't go, so I clipped it in to its original position and put 2 dabs of hot glue on it. It's just a little LED light. It will not go anywhere. And the only other thing I found I had to repair, this piece right here, it's like a spacer. The screw doesn't actually bite into it, but it's more of a spacer. It was broken off. I just glued it back on. It's not going to be under stress or a load or anything because it's just a spacer. It's supposed to look just like, I can't even tell it's broken. So, next step is to reinstall, and I'm going to check the tape deck operation next. Now, originally when I assumed the motor, nothing was turning, it's because of belts slipping. Yeah, the belts were loose, but put on, still nothing's happening. Found the issue. I got the meter hooked up to the probes on the motor. It looked like it took a while to get up to speed. I'm only getting 2.6 volts going to that motor. There's no torque. So we know the motor was probably okay. We got to figure out what's going on this board here. Why don't we have enough voltage happening? Well, I found the problem with the motor power supply. This is supposed to be a 2.2 ohm. It's just doing random things. 165K? No wonder why when you put the motor on, the voltage drops suddenly. And here's a proper 2.2 ohm, 5% meter lead resistances, everything going on. The original does call for a 1/8 watt. I'm not doing that. I don't have any of that size. I'm just putting a standard 1/2 watt in. Besides, that's better. The motor current draw and all. I just did a quick voltage test and it's fixed. So the problem the whole time, I can get it in there, is R264 right there. Because of the size of it, it stands up now. But again, I'm using a 1/2 watt instead of an 1/8 watt. That's probably what did it in, extra loading. But yeah, when it running at 213 or 200K ohms, and it looked good with no load. As soon as you put a load on it, you lost all your voltages down to that 2-3 volts. All right, one of the things I had to do to fix the playback, see this gear right here also drives the auto stop mechanism and also drives the clutch for the playback, and it was completely slipping on the shaft. And it turns out there's a hairline crack in the gear, and it made it just loose enough to where it just loses grip. So I put very carefully some JB Weld epoxy on the shaft, very little of it, pushed it on so it's like inside of it, and put some on top of it, also touching the shaft too, and let that cure overnight, and then it should be good to go. So for now it's already working, and I'll show you. I don't want to put a load on it like the clutch for play, but at least I can show you fast forward. And see, before it was just sitting there spinning, not doing anything. Now it's been curing for about 3 hours now, but it's still not done yet. Now rewind, it should kick it out. Yep, so it's working now, nice and smooth. So there you go. So while I guess I'm waiting for that to cure overnight, I'm gonna work on these meters right here. I figure the left one is working fine, the right one is stuck. And I'm gonna take the meters apart. Now to take the front lens off of here, it's real simple. If you notice, there's a piece of clear tape on there. That's all that's holding this together. That's all you really need too. I mean, I just got done fixing a Sharp 1978 Sharp tape deck, and that's all that was holding it together too. Just remove the tape, you can open it up, and I believe that's how I actually serviced the light bulbs in it. Alright, I found the issue with the right meter. I decided to adjust that screw right there. They tend to both want to they're stopped in the same position. That's not really the zero adjustment for it. It seems more like the amount of tension on the spring here or something. I'm not sure, but I just tested it, and it bounces correctly now. Let me see if I can. Let's turn the power on here. Oop, got a big gold glare. So the left one was perfectly fine. The right one, I just loosened it, and then all of a sudden it just sprung to life. See, it's not even sticking. It's following exactly what the left one is doing. Okay, I was just experimenting with it just a little before I put it back together. Yeah, it does have a slight effect on calibrating it too. So I adjusted the right one to the point where it got right to the point where it wouldn't move, and backed off, and then I backed off a little more, and then now this is a monaural source, and they completely match levels on each. Before, this one was reading like a little bit lower, so I think I got it perfect. Now to reassemble. Now, I didn't have any clear cellophane tape, so I just used some Scotch tape, which will work just fine. The bottom portion here you won't see. The top portion just runs along the top and is inserted, so again, you can't see any of this once it's reinstalled, but put the tape in the exact same positions as it was found originally. Okay, I just used some Novus plastic polish number 2. I was able to get that scratch off. I have no idea what it was. I was like the only scratch on there, and it took a bit of rubbing. But as you can see, that scratch is gone. It's shiny now. So I'm just happy with VU meters. Work beautifully. It's in that mode. Let me see. Now we're in battery full. Obviously, I'm running off AC power. And the tuning meter for the tuner. I'm in the basement, so it's very precise where I gotta put it. And I can take it back out. VU meters, yay. Okay, it's been 24 hours later, and let's see if I hit. It still turns, so that's good. Now to put the idler tire back on clutch assembly for the playback. Okay, so far so good. I mean, now the real test will be when I stall it. Yeah, I just have to clean the tire a little bit. I got a little bit of grease on it, but it was still turning as you saw in the back. So that means it's gripping, so it's good. Alright, I had to take some 400 grit sandpaper to the idler tire to clean it up some, so it grip better. Put the tape counter belt on, tape counter works. The clutch is actually part of the reel, so when I stall it, you'll see it's still turning. See? It should auto stop in a second. There we go. So we know all that's working. So some good news and bad news. I mean, it does work, but the problem is that gear. I noticed too the teeth looked odd on it. Well, it's causing it to skip. If you can notice that gear right there, that's what that clunking is. Fast forward a month later, and I have some good news. I have eBay searches set up, and I had a search set up for the Realistic SCR 8, and I came across an auction for just the tape transport and for parts, and we have a good gear. Guess what I'm doing now? Though I admit it is funny how the GE Blockbuster is in pristine condition but had that gear. This looks like it's been through hell. I mean, there's also lots of white powdered corrosion and rust all over a lot of pieces. Even the brakes right here in the middle. But yet, all the gears and cams that make this thing work are pristine. What was I going to show? Yeah, even the solenoid for the music search system. But hey, now I got a parts deck for both my Realistic Modular 1000 and the GE Blockbuster in case I ever need more parts. Well, given how messed up the old gear was, I could slip it right on and off. This one I had to completely disassemble the tape transport just to get the gear in, which is right in the middle of your screen. Luckily I have the exploded view too to work with. And as you can see, it's running nice and smoothly. No boom, boom, boom. It was actually physically jumping up and down a little bit. So, well, that was easy. Lighter fluid plus plastic razor blade equals success. And here it is, all polished up. And here is the completed product. Everything's 100% now. And yes, it is very well worth fixing because it is a very good tape deck. Wound Flutter is rated for 0.09% WRMS, and more than likely it's probably going to be lower. Problem is I don't have an actual test tape. What I did do, and I know you can't do it this way, but I did just to try it, I recorded a test tone and played back the test tone on the same machine, and at times it actually got down to 0.05% with using doing that. And I know it's not an ideal method, but it worked, so I can get an actual test tape, you know, but it's still very impressive. Also impressive is the frequency response. Normal bias tapes go up to 12,000 hertz. Chrome tapes go up to 15,000 hertz. Metal tape's not sure on how high it goes on that. So yeah, it's a very, very good tape deck, a very good sounding tape deck. So yeah, I mean, it's a very classic boombox look. It's early 80s, but the one thing that the realistic version doesn't have, and really I've only seen two versions that have this, is those big chrome dust caps. That totally completes the look. They are 6-inch woofers. Now this one has a 5-inch woofer, but the tweeters are actually the same. In fact, very similarly styled as the grills around the tweeters. If you look. That said, because of the specifications, I mean, and the way this is built, the internals on this, it's built like a component tape deck. I actually use this a lot with the line-in jacks. This even has phono inputs. That said, pre-1992 Funai products, whether under their own brand or OEM'd, were far, far better built. Very well built, in fact. And the reason why I say 1992, I looked on their Japanese website. They changed their business model, and they literally became China Pride. I mean, they opened up their plant in China that year. So yeah, that was the demise right there. They did a 180 on themselves. Another comment you're probably going to see is, well, wait a minute, Funai Japan, you know, the Japanese the Funai boombox, I need to back up for a second. In North America, we didn't get it under Funai's own label. We got it under General Electric, Realistic, and Sears. Yeah, and if you look at Sears model number 304, that's Funai. Hence why the Sears version of this boombox I want to get, because it's slightly different. It adds, and I didn't show this yet, this has GE called it on theirs the music location system. The Sears version had roughly the same thing. And the Sears version also added ported speakers as well, but otherwise it's the same boombox. There's also the Realistic Modulette 500, I think, and I found the Funai version of that one. Now, another thing I'm going to reveal, or another thing I'm going to say is, no, not every GE boombox is a Funai. You got to understand how OEM works. I found that pretty much all their top of the line stuff came from Funai, and they made quite a few different models, and every one that was made by Funai all has to say the same thing. They're very good, solid performers with very good highs and deep lows. So that goes to show you what a difference they used to be. Now, about back during this time frame, Funai had a Taiwan plant. That's why this one and this one came out of Taiwan. Oddly, the Sears version came out of Japan, their Japan plant, and the Japanese, or the Funai version, has came out of the Japan plant. So it's kind of weird how they did that. So yes, it's a very solidly built boombox. Let's go over the features and everything now that it's all done. Music location system. You can go 1, 2, or 3 songs. That's what that solenoid is for on the tape deck. 1/4-inch headphone jack, power switch, aux in, radio, tape, normal chrome tape. The meters are dual function. You can either be a VU meter or tuner and battery meter. Stereo accent, loudness control for lower volumes, volume, balance, bass, treble, FM stereo, FM AM, dual microphones, good stereo separation, speakers I've already shown. The only blemish I have is the antenna is broken off at the top. Eventually I will get that fixed. In the meantime, I'm just really happy I got the tape deck to work. From the back, and yes, it does pull 49 watts. Again, you're gonna get that power out of the thin air. Entry-level boomboxes don't use that much. In contrast, they only use maybe like 10-11 watts, but they're still very loud. Take that, you know, and compare to this gets very loud and clear. So you actually have left and right microphone in with a remote jack, oscillator for when you're recording, auxiliary in, external speakers. Regarding auxiliary in, another big rant of mine is, no, I will not modify my boomboxes with stupid blue LEDs or LEDs and stuff to make them light up. That just completely ruins everything. It's best to just keep it original. You know, if you really want to put a Bluetooth adapter or hook your phone to it, just plug it into the aux in jack. Don't modify the boombox. That just completely ruins it. I mean, you know, the whole point, you know, use the tape deck or the radio or something. I mean, not like today's music's worth anything. They all sound like crap anyways, and the radio is nothing but commercials now, so no point there. With some exceptions, some local independent stations are good still. Too bad the one's far enough away. I need to have it hooked to an antenna to hear it. So yeah, we'll try the tuner, given the way the copyright police is, and you can't even do 30 seconds anymore for fair use. I gotta do it nice and quick. Turn it down. So right now it's in VU meter mode. I'm gonna put it in tuner battery mode. Naturally, on AC power, it's gonna say full for the battery, but tuning, well, let me see, we'll turn it up and I can go through it quickly. Like that, that's absolute garbage.
On his contract before letting him walk.
Where I'm at in this room, I don't have good reception, regardless of how good the tuner may be on any device. Beauty in what I can't understand.
So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you hazelnuts. And temperaments are different. You know,
Wow, that station's strong. Oh, that's why. It's the only station that ever comes in really strong is that country station. You see it pegs the meter almost. Signal
Catch
strength.
this hours nationwide.
You should understand that our brother Timothy has been...
And we hit the end of the style scale. Let's try amplitude modulation.
20% off all cleaning services. Call Zero Res today for the KDKA special. I'm telling you,
this is
it's the best.
1020 KDKA.
412-701-1188. 412-701-1188.
Again, I'm not expecting much. There is a
Or
lot
book your
of
cleaning
noisy
online
equipment
anytime
downstairs
at
for computers.
ZeroResPGH.com.
Right below
That's
us.
right. You'll love...
So put this back on VU. I actually prefer it to be a VU meter rather than a power meter, because what if you want to listen to it at low volumes, and it's nice to see the meters dance with the music, just like on reel-to-reels or audio cassettes, etc. And it's funny how a lot of this newer garbage made, the VU meters don't even work with the music. They just do random stuff. I mean, this is the real thing. And I know, like I said, I just had to do an adjustment on this and it fixed the meters. They're just fine. And the best thing is when you record with the tape deck, it actually records right up to 0 dB. Unlike a lot of newer boom boxes from like the 90s and stuff, it recorded like minus 10 dB with automatic level control system, sometimes DC bias, and sound like garbage. Yeah, this tape deck is the same as that realistic Modular 1000, except it doesn't have Dolby or manual level controls like that does. So on that note, let's try the tape deck now. So we're going to eject, insert the tape, and I can do the music location system. And the thing is, you can also use it with pause too. Like if I go pause, then play, and I want to go to the third song after the blank, so I'll go 1, 2, and I'm going to hit fast forward. Okay, hit that one there. Then when it goes off, the solenoid will disengage fast forward. Now I just did that for demonstration with the pause button on. You can have it off too. The pause function, at least from what I read, is for when you're recording and you want to find the end of the tape or something and you want to just stop there. That's what that's for. So let me get to the part of the song I want to demonstrate. Some of you watching this may know it, but the band is I've Made Too Much Pasta, and from the first album, that's where I Saw Your Mouth Move. I'm not gonna play more than fair use for this. His albums are on Bandcamp if you want to look it up. But that said, I'll play just a little bit of clips so I can at least play it. It sounds really good on this. I recorded this on the Modular 1000.
I'm not gonna let you out of my sight. After all
put the stereo accent on. One thing I like about this tape deck, though, it's not like they lock out the eject button while you're playing. They made it so when you hit eject, it actually puts the unit in the stop at the same time. Watch this. Just like that. Very well engineered. Let's do a recording with the built-in microphones. Wait for a leader to pass. Okay, there it goes. So meter is bouncing. Hold it in the middle. Do the left and right channels. Test, 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 test. Come over here and test, 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 test. And let's see what happens. As another signature thing this particular tape transport does, it does, when it goes to a full auto stop, it does pull in the stop button because it's on the same linkage. Okay, there it goes. So meter is bouncing. I'm gonna hold it in the middle, do the left and right channels. Test, 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 test. Come over here and test, 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 test. And let's see what happens. So yeah, that is the only thing. It's going to pick up any noise from the tape transport. But that's why you use external mics on these. The built-in mics are just for convenience. And if it's loud enough, it probably won't matter. But it does have fantastic stereo separation. Let's see if we can record something off the radio. Yeah, I put the song on here. It's on a weaker station. I had to put it on FM because it was too noisy. But at least demonstrate how well the tape deck works. Put this on, turn it up, and yeah, that last clip came from the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack off of vinyl. I'm gonna re-record it though, if it's on the same tape. So on that note, and so again, thank you, Emerson Colley. This was one of the boomboxes high up on my wish list, and same with a lot of other collectors. It's not that rare. At least that's a good thing, but it is a very highly sought after boombox for that, you know, for all these reasons. It's a overall fantastic performer, and it definitely defines what a real boombox is. So thanks for watching, and hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, sure. Just some kids drag racing outside, I think, Mom. Listen, Ma, I gotta go. I think there's been an accident out front. Right. Right, I'll call the police. Right, I'll call the police. No, just some neighbors having a fight, I guess. I'm fine. I'll call you in the morning.